Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Steve Bracety, President and CEO for your Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. Here with me in the studio booth today on PV Talks is the man leading the way with United Way of Yavapai County, Mr. David Seigler, a.k.a. Cowboy Dave.
Thanks for having me, Steve. I'm thrilled to be here with you.
Welcome aboard, Dave. Good to have you on board. And what's happening at United Way these days?
Wow, everything is happening at United Way. 3 weeks ago, we made our announcement that our next grant cycle, well, let's talk about our previous grant cycle first. That was my first grant cycle when I came on board, and we had to restructure our entire operation. Our fiscal year, our grant cycle, our fundraising cycle, it all changed. And we were still able to give out $370,000 last year to 33 different nonprofits.
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. It's not me. I didn't do it. All of you did it. It takes everybody working together, the United Way, to get that done. This year, we're thrilled that we were able to invest $453,500 into 38 different nonprofits across Yavapai County.
Significant increase, and these are stays in the money, stays in the county, correct?
Stays in the county. Mm-hmm. The money stays where it's raised, period. And we're only focused on Yavapai County. This is my home. Don't care what happens in Maricopa County much. I really want to know what's going on here in Yavapai, and finding out allows us to direct our grant funds to where it's needed most, to fill the gaps. We don't fund every charity. We don't necessarily fund my favorite charity. We fund 38 charities that make up a safety net to help people in crisis stay out of poverty or bounce back if they're in it. We help them learn new jobs. We provide shelter and food and training and rehab counseling and, everything that somebody needs who's falling through the cracks. And then we make sure that there's a net there just to help them bounce. And that's what we do. And so it's meaningful that we had an $85,000 increase and added, I think it's actually 8 new nonprofits because we dropped off a couple that just weren't doing what we needed them to be doing. And that's not because they weren't doing it. They might have other priorities. So far, we haven't found bad nonprofits, but we have found a lot that need learning. And that's one of the things that we do too. We don't just look for the nonprofits.
You provide the education.
We provide an education that's vital to our community. If you remember the last couple of years, we've had several nonprofits who have fallen victim to evil people inside their ranks, stealing from homeless people. And so we jumped into that idea and that mess and found out that most of the time that could have been mitigated, if not eliminated, if the organization does what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And most board members didn't really realize the depth of their ability to keep it from happening. So we put on a training last year for 180 people, all board members and nonprofit CEOs. And we taught them about board governance and their fiscal responsibilities. We did it again this year, just about a month ago in Clarkdale. We want to make sure we're hitting both sides of our mountain here. And we had 85 nonprofit board members and leaders come to that one. And we have some great speakers for that. We had one of the best law firms in the county. In fact, one of the oldest law firms in the county, who gave us Devin White to talk about some of those legal responsibilities. We had Stephen Crandall of SCAA Accounting, who stepped up to talk about financial reports and how to read them. Most people don't even know what they're looking at and what they're looking for. And then we had the YMCA CEO, Damon Olson, who talked about board retention and recruiting and succession planning. These things are really important processes and procedures that boards are responsible for doing. And when all of that's working well, you can't steal from it, or it's really, really hard. I mean, I do know that one of the people who was convicted of this actually had been convicted of it before. In fact, I think 2 times before. And so my question was, didn't you do a background check? And the answer was yes. They did a background check, but the criminal had their history expunged. So sometimes even doing your due diligence in the hiring process isn't quite everything. It's that trust but verify.
You know, it's interesting. People join a board for the passion of the organization or they believe in the cause. But once they get on the board, they forget there is some stewardship and responsibility that you are part of now, quite frankly.
Absolutely. And for an organization like us, where we're dealing with so many nonprofits, donor trust is really important to us. The donors have to trust that we're vetting them.
Correct.
And that they're doing it right. Now, some of those who did have some problems were, in fact, our partners, which is why we worked with them to correct the problems, fix the errors, and fill the gaps, what they were doing, so that it never happens again. Because in my job, I'm talking to employee groups every day, all day, and you can bet there's somebody there who's looking for a reason to say no. And they'll start bringing up anything that might have happened in the past. Well, what about this? What about that? Bad things happen to good people.
Right.
We're there to keep that from happening twice. We're there to make sure that all of the nonprofits, not just our partners, but every nonprofit, there's over 1,600 nonprofits right here in our region. And we want to make sure that they know what they're doing and that they can get their jobs done, even if it's not the critical components that we're looking at. I mean, I love pets, and I've rescued every pet I've ever owned except one. And I love what the Humane Society does. I volunteered there, helped them write some grants 20 years ago. But they're not in our partnership. What they do is fabulous, but it's not the most critical components that we need. We need to feed hungry people.
You know, Dave, let's talk about food for a moment here. We have the shutdown occurring, as you know. SNAP benefits are about to expire, unfortunately, tomorrow. How is the United Way helping Yavapai County through that crisis?
Well, one, we're waiting for Yavapai County food banks to tell us what exactly they need.
Okay.
I do know that the Prescott Community Cupboard Food Bank just had an emergency board meeting the beginning of this week to talk about exactly what they're going to do. Now, the governor has freed up $1.8 million, but quite honestly, I don't know what that's really going to accomplish statewide. There's an awful lot going on. Now, we work with almost every food bank in the county, and those that we don't work directly with, we're here to help. So we're waiting for them to say exactly what they need, and then we're looking at our board saying, okay, let's provide that. We do have disaster relief and emergency funding available. So probably next week, we'll start getting some feedback saying, this is what they're experiencing. This is how much money it's going to take to solve that. Mm-hmm. And it's the partnerships too, because it's not about one food bank. It's about the food distribution system in Yavapai County, which involves groups like Real Hope and Manzanita Outreach, which primarily bring truckloads of food and supplies.
Hungry Kids Project.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many. But we have to find out what's going to work, what's going to get the food to the people who need it most. Until this horrible shutdown, that's the responsibility of every politician we have on both sides. Let's get this fixed. The American people, we need help.
Amen.
Now, do we need in Yavapai County the federal government to solve our local problems? I will say, if you depend on the federal government for the majority of your agency's funding, you are in trouble because the government is political. Political winds change frequently. And in the end, they don't have that heart to make sure that even when they do what's right, that the impact isn't wrong. Mm-hmm. So you need to diversify that. We don't get any government funding. Many of our nonprofits do, especially food banks, and many of the people that they serve going to SNAP receive federal benefits. So we have to do what we can to guard against that and to recover when they have too much there, which means not enough money. So we're standing ready to do what needs to be done. We're working with everybody involved to make sure that we get those funds and that food right away as needed.
So Dave, let me ask you this question. Let's say there's someone out there in the listenership who wants to get involved, who wants to be part of the solution. How could he or she get involved? How could they contact United Way? Well,
contacting us is simple. You could Google like everybody else. It's 778-6605 is our phone number. Find us online at yavapaiuw.org. Reach out to us. Not only will we let you know what they can do for us, There's a lot of things that people can do. The most important thing to us is that employee campaign. We don't want to compete with our partners for corporate business dollars. We want the employees to give a couple bucks a paycheck, and that adds up and it lasts a lot longer. But we also need volunteers. We also need board members. We also need people out there doing food drives and clothing drives. We have a clothing drive coming up in early December. It's going to be called Share the Warmth. It's all about the homeless families and children. So we stand out in front of Walmarts and give people shopping lists in case they have a 2-for-1 bargain going on. Think about us. And that's fabulous. But we also work with our partners to fill their needs. We've done all these board trainings. One of the things that we've asked people is, now that you've been through this training, are you willing to help others? Many people serve on multiple boards. Let's make sure that they're trained, and let's be ready to act. We get calls from, for instance, the Agape House just finished their fabulous new
Yes,
structure.
they did. Yes.
They're housing a dozen families there now. But before that happened, they were putting out volunteer calls to come and help landscape and clean and build and counsel and work with the families that were coming in. So we can get you placed. If it's not with us, it's with somebody else. Being part of the solution is what we want. We think we're a big part of that. One gift contributes to 38 of our most critical needed nonprofits. But if you want to do something with children, well, hanging out with the United Way, you're not going to do a whole lot specifically with children, but we'll connect you to the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Right.
We'll connect you to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We'll connect you to PASS and Agape House, and wherever your passion leads you, we can help you get there.
You're like the facilitator.
We are the convener of goodness.
Ooh, I love that word.
We bring people who want to do good in
That's
their community
action
together.
word. I love it. Love it.
Yes, it's what we do. It's what we do every day. I mean, it's why you and I are working together now. Mm-hmm. As the CEO for the chamber, you care about business and the idea that bringing businesses to our community is a good thing for everybody, the business and the community. Getting those businesses involved in helping is great. So many businesses are straddled with, somebody came knocking on my door, so I gave them a gift card.
Right.
They don't know who they're helping. They
Right.
don't know the
Where that
impact
gift card's
of that.
going.
Yeah. And maybe there's not I've seen the people out in the parking lots in Safeway, Goodwill with their little placards around their neck that says they're out there because they're in rehab. That's illegal. They can't go out there and panhandle, because I've seen them.
Didn't know that.
They take that money and they go to Burger King and they feed themselves. And then that's not what that money is for, is to help others. There's no oversight on that. What you're giving, when you're giving there, you don't know where it's going. I do, and I won't give to them. I'd rather give to the agencies that's supporting them. When you give cash to people, it's a bad idea. Let's get them what they need.
It's like giving cash to family members, huh? Just doesn't go far.
It doesn't usually work. It doesn't usually come back. It doesn't get done what you want done. So we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to rise up, but we don't want to do it willy-nilly. We want people to say, this is what we want to do. We want to serve our population. And we make the world better, period.
You're more strategic in your approach.
Very strategic.
Perfect.
Thoughtful. We want to make sure that, once again, I love what most of our nonprofits do. There's some of them that I support individually that we don't support. We're all about that safety net. We want to make sure that people bounce. We have 3 pillars of what it takes to create a happy, successful life: education, access to healthcare, and financial stability. A job that'll pay you a livable wage from when you begin to your end. Pay for your family, put you into retirement comfortably. That's what we need in our community to lift everybody up. And we support the nonprofits that do exactly that. And we're talking, I brought my little the brochure with so I can look at 33 of the 38. This is our last year's brochure.
I bet you got that committed to memory.
Mostly. I just don't want to forget the important ones. But I've already mentioned, the Agape House, but how about Baghdad, the mining town on the outside of everything? Nobody even realizes that's in Yavapai County.
Right.
We fund their STEM program to teach those kids the modern day way of doing things. And with the mine supporting that on to college, that makes a huge difference, not just for their community, but when those young people leave, a lot of them come to the big city, Prescott. And in fact, a lot of them live here. So supporting that's huge. House of Hope 316, one of my favorite things, because my father died 4 years ago, left my mother a little nest egg and a house with a payment. The payment on the house was $1,600. Her Social Security was $950. So that didn't work out real well. 4 years later, she's running out of money, sell the house, move her into assisted living. Luckily, she has that ability. So many people don't. They're finding themselves in their 60s and 70s losing their house. I have contacted House of Hope personally about 6 times in the last 6 months with people reaching out to me. I don't know what I'm going to do, Dave. I'm losing everything. I'm being evicted in 2 days. And Bert from House of Hope, he comes up prayerfully, starts solving problems for so many people. And our community needs that. We can't let our seniors fall off a cliff. And everybody loves the YMCA. They bring so much to our community, from children to seniors, all the way. Boys and girls clubs, big brothers, big sisters. These organizations change lives. They change communities. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club. When I was in 7th grade, we were getting ready to move up here from Scottsdale. When I say Scottsdale, what I mean is South Scottsdale, old Scottsdale, poor Scottsdale. And I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club with my best friend. And one day he calls me up. He's like, Dave, we're going to go meet Sean at the park. Sean was in high school. Sean had marijuana. And Rick was jazzed to try it. And I was thinking about it. But that night, I had the second day of a 2-day pool tournament going on at the Boys and Girls Club. And I wasn't going to miss that. I was winning. So they weren't selling me the idea of don't do drugs. They were saying, do something better. And I did. And at that day, my best friend's life and mine diverted. He kept going and was in rehab by the time he was graduating from high school. He had used that as a stairway to other drugs. Not everybody does, but he did. And to this day, he still struggles with his sobriety. And we're in our 50s. So Steve, we're talking about 40 years later, he's still struggling. I simply took that path a lot later in life, and it lasted a lot shorter. And that type of idea where taking our kids and just giving them better things to do. Look at this pathway. It's so much easier. I talk to people my age who didn't know what to do after college. Their parents weren't in college, never went to college. They didn't know what to do. And having places out there like the Launchpad who help children, young people.
Terrific organization.
Learn. And we fund a jobs program there where we're helping these young teens realize what it takes to have a job. They have a coffee shop there. It's run by them. So they have to show up on time. They have to do their prep work and their cleaning work. And when I owned a restaurant, I had so many young people who didn't get the idea that this is a responsibility. I depend on them. They depend on me. It's a mutual symbiotic thing. But if they don't do their jobs, they're not going to stick around for long. And that's going to impact them their whole lives if they don't know what it takes. So again, teaching our young people what it takes to survive in a modern world. And I don't mean all the crazy things I did watch on the news. I'm talking about getting a job that leads to a future. I don't care if you go to college or not. My son, he's a mechanic and he's doing great. Went to some trade schools at Yavapai College here, learned how to be a mechanic, and he's got a great life. We just need to find out what career paths are going to work.
Absolutely.
Today and in the future, it's changing.
So Dave, let me ask you this question. You have an event coming up. A week from today, I believe, right?
Yes.
Want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The Flappers and Gangsters event.
Flappers and Gangsters.
Is the theme of the Community Builders Reception and Volunteer Recognition Dinner. The fact is, when a company, usually a CEO, says, yeah, we're going to run a campaign. We're going to ask my 10 people, my 20 people, my 100 people if they'd like to give, and we'll set it all up. We'll do a great job. And then they turn to their assistant or some lower level employee that says, hey, run this project for us. So when we recognize the company for their good work, the CEO stands up there and says, you're welcome. But the person who actually did it and worked hard to make it work well, that person often doesn't get that recognition. So that's the person we're recognizing at the event, are the people who actually get out there and do the work. This is for our Day of Action, which is our global volunteer day, which is in June. And for those who help with our campaigns, and for those who help lead our campaigns. We'll be recognizing, I don't know, I think I got about 25 different volunteers. Now, we're not going to make a long, drawn-out thing because nobody wants to watch a graduation, procession. But we're going to make sure that some light shines on their good works.
Some recognition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's our community builders reception. What we're doing is building our community. The more people we get involved, many hands make light work. It's the whole idea of the employee campaign. This all started, pardon me, about 140 years ago. In Denver, which is very much like the Prescott area, there was a woman who was helping to feed some hungry people through her church. But she saw the line was longer than the food was going to last every day. So she went to her pastor and said, what are we going to do? So the pastor pulled everybody from the various churches and synagogues together, all the faith-based groups, and they said, we're already doing this. We're the ones doing this. What do you mean, more money? We don't have any more. Let's turn to businesses, because everybody knows businesses got money, which is a fallacy. And the business leader said, wait a minute, pushing back here a little bit. We're already doing this. Sure, we're doing it willy-nilly. I'm supporting my wife's friend who works at the high school band, but they don't know what they're accomplishing. They're not really accomplishing much. And they said, well, if we were to do this, we would first want an organization that's vetting the nonprofits, telling us what's most important, helping us to figure out where that goes. In fact, we'd like to be able to track our successes because they're businesses. That's what they do. We'd also like to be in control of this a little bit. We all want my people involved in distributing those dollars. That idea became something we all know about. It's called the community chest, right on your Monopoly board. A few years later, it morphed into the United Fund. It was a Red Feather Fund for a little while, and then it became the United Way. The idea is, instead of those businesses writing checks, which they often do to our partners, we just ask their employees, hey, a couple bucks a paycheck, for the price of a fancy cup of coffee, you can make a huge difference. And they do. And they're proud to do it. And we make it a little exciting. We give out a little swag, a little t-shirt here and there. But we've cut down on that a great deal because I'd rather give that money or that shirt to somebody who needs it rather than somebody who's going to promote me once in a month when they wear it. But that message needs to get out there. United, we live. United, we thrive. United in mission, we can solve any problem. We don't need outsiders to come in. We just need everybody to step up a little bit.
A little bit.
And we've got that Helping the Working Poor Tax Fund. Let's not forget about that. That's huge. In 2026, which is what our campaigns are running now, if you're married filing jointly, you can give $1,007 to our charities, and the Arizona State taxes will give it back to you. Dollar for dollar, not a deduction, but a credit. You get it back dollar for dollar. When my wife was struck with cancer, she quit her job for a while to get her head wrapped around it and get into treatment. And now that she's beaten it, she's back to work. And she was sitting in a presentation that I was giving. And I'm mentioning the fact that I give $25 a paycheck, $650 a year. And my wife is having a conniption fit in the back because we just lost $65,000 a year by her quitting. So we were pretty cash strapped. And she's like, what are you thinking? We need that money. I said, we'll get that money. We'll just get it when we file our taxes. It's like an interest-free savings account that matters. When you give to the United Way's Helping the Working Poor Fund, you're making a difference. You're making a difference across the whole spectrum. And that's important to me when I give. I want to make sure it's worthwhile. I don't get paid a lot of money. So when I write a check, it better have meaning to me.
Right.
Or it's not going to work. So that's an important thing. And of course, if you're single, you're filing $503 is the max.
Right.
So That's a lot of money that you can give and get back.
Give it to the government or give it to the United Way.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so proud of what my state legislators do with my money that I want to give them more.
Correct.
No, I'm not. Politics is politics, and the United Way is not a political group. But no, I would rather ask my legislators to spend their money at the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Community Covered Food Bank. That's what's important to me. Homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters. In fact, we're funding this year a shelter for people who've been trafficked. And I didn't know how many people come into Yavapai County who are trafficked. It's scary bad. So we need to get a handle on what's going on in our community and solve it. And I'll tell you one thing, I cannot do that alone. I have a staff. I have a huge staff. I have 3 people who work for me. I work for 10 people, my board, and they work for you, all of you. And together, we need to understand what's going on so that we can devote our resources, our strengths to fix it. I'm not asking anybody for a lot. I'm asking everybody for a little. Check us out, yavapaiuw.org. Be a part of the solution. Join us.
Absolutely. It takes a community. Dave, you have the passion and you are the right person to be leading the United Way, Yavapai County. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your
pleasure.
support. And thank you to all of you who have helped, are helping, or will help again. In fact, ask your employer, hey, why don't we do that? There's a United Way thing. And I'll give $5 a paycheck. No big deal. Be happy to. And when we get 1 or 2 people in a company doing that, the company calls us up. We get it started. Sometimes they have a lot of fun with it. They'll throw a little party to start off with. The town of Prescott Valley has a chili cook-off. Actually, they're using that at the end of their campaign for this year. But it's just a time to recognize their own staff and throw in this too. A lot of companies, all of our government groups do not take special time out of their day to do this. They're working on taxpayer dollars. They don't get time off to go have a party. So we work with their schedules. We turn it all into an electronic process. If you work for Yavapai County, anywhere in the county, we've built a portal special to you. So you go on and log into your company portal, you make your gift, or you can even choose no thank you, which is important because at least we know that you participated. You thought about it, you decided no. No problem. You might give at home, you might give to your church. No, we don't care. That's your business, not ours. But just thinking about it and making a choice is everything. And again, it's just a couple bucks. And when you get just a couple employees in at the end of that year and they're coming back to do it again, we'll get more employees. Because they're going to talk to these guys and say, yeah, I'm proud of that. It's only a couple bucks, but I'm proud of that. And look at what it does. For Yavapai County on the Verde Valley side, we're bringing in 4 different nonprofits going to sit in their lobby as their employees come in and out to give them information. They are examples of what your dollar does with United Way. So we have lots of ways to get people involved, to make it super fun or super simple. Super easy. You got a job to do. Let's let you do your job.
I think the payroll deduction plan is probably your best plan because you don't really notice it. It's just gone from your check.
Yeah, it comes out of my check.
Almost like taxes.
Yeah, my wife didn't know how much we were getting.
Right.
She runs our bank account until she looked at my pay stub and said, oh, wait a minute.
Maybe like a $5, biweekly donation goes a long way.
It does. And that's what I tell people. I don't want you to break your bank here.
Right.
But contribute just a little bit.
Cost of a cup of coffee.
Yeah. In fact, less than a cup of coffee now. I just spent $6 for a cup of coffee the other day. It was a good cup of coffee.
I hope so.
Really.
Well, Dave, thank you for what you do. Folks, thank you for tuning in today to PV Talks. And remember, great communities don't just happen. They are built by people who show up with solutions. Until next time.